Hi everyone, welcome back to Trees and Turtles. My name is Imogen. In today's video, I am teaching you how to tell when you're in a toxic situation. If you're not already subscribed, please do that. Give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and let's get started. So, how can we tell if we're in a toxic situation? This can apply to pretty much anything in life. It can apply to your personal relationships, it can apply to your career, it can apply to pretty much any situation that involves other people that you find yourself in. Okay, so I am a veteran of many toxic situations, unfortunately, so I hope this advice will help you to avoid being in too many yourself. And the first red flag that I want to talk about is that you're being treated in a way that you'd never treat anyone else, okay? So what does this mean? Essentially, it means that you're receiving treatment from other people that if you turn it around and you think, would I do this to another person? The answer is an obvious, or even, you know, a less obvious no, okay? So if someone is treating you in a way that makes you stop and think, hey, I'd never do this to someone else, or even if you don't necessarily think about it, but you feel like it feels wrong, and then when you think about it, you're like, no, actually, I wouldn't do this to someone else, then chances are you're in a toxic situation. It literally is the main rule of human interaction, is just do to other people what you would like them to do to you, like treat other people as well as you would like them to treat you, okay? So this works both ways. If you're being treated in a way that you wouldn't treat someone else, then chances are it's a toxic situation. Right, the second red flag I want to talk about is that you are developing anxiety before getting in the situation. When you know it's coming, you're like, oh no. So this is kind of more applicable to like recurring situations, okay? So for example, this might be like a co-worker that you have to like habitually see, or it might be like a family member that you see every so often, and when you know that this situation is about to arise, you have this like sinking feeling in your gut, or you have like this recurring anxiety. So it's like your body knows, or your brain knows, like what the situation is going to be and how it's going to affect you before it happens. And that sort of like sinking feeling, like premonition, is actually really important, and you should totally pay attention to it, because I learned this the hard way, okay? Like I've been in situations that have been less than optimal, and then they've been like recurring, and then when they've been about to happen again, I've got this really bad gut feeling like I don't want to be in this situation even though it hasn't happened yet. So pay attention to that feeling, because it is actually really indicative of when you're in a toxic situation, and it's not just a weird feeling. You should trust your gut. In fact, if you're interested on learning how to trust your gut feeling, I actually did a video on that, so make sure to go and check that out. But anyway, yes, if you're developing like pre-anxiety for a situation before it happens, then that is a big red flag and something that you should pay attention to. All right, the third thing that I want to talk about is that when you're in a toxic situation, the other people in the situation who are making it toxic use information about you or your weaknesses against you. So they are not your friends, okay? So an example of this would be if you had a really toxic friend and you were vulnerable with them about something like in your life, like maybe one of your weaknesses or a problem you were having, and they used it against you. Like they turned it into like some kind of negative joke, or they made like gossip behind your back about it, or they thought less of you for it, or they kind of mocked you for it. Okay, so any kind of like information or that leads to like a vulnerability or weakness that you've been vulnerable with someone and they have made a really negative thing out of it. So if other people do that, that is absolutely not normal, and those people are not your friends, okay? So I really want you to, and I think it's too easy to like shrug this off, right? It's just a joke. Sometimes we shrug this off, this kind of stuff, and it actually really affects us, okay? So if you're finding that other people are using your vulnerability and your trust in them against you, then you really need to reevaluate that situation and reevaluate your relationship with those people, because likely they do not have your best interests at heart, okay? The next red flag that I want to talk about is that you feel uncertain constantly and you never know what to expect. So uncertainty is a part of life, and it can be it can be fine. It could be a source of opportunity. It could be, you know, sort of just generally part of everyday life. However, when you get to a certain point where a situation being so unpredictable that it causes you stress it's like weighing on your mind, okay? So if you feel uncertain constantly and you never know what to expect, and that's causing you a lot of anxiety, even if you don't necessarily like normally have anxiety, and if you do, like I do, then I mean, it's gonna get even worse. So if you feel uncertain constantly and you're really not sure what the situation is going to entail and you're worried that it might go badly, and often you have good reason to worry that it might go badly, okay? So if you feel like you never quite know where you stand in a situation, then it's actually really important to pay attention to that, because that can be a hallmark of a toxic situation, is never knowing quite where you stand. You never know what the expectations are, and you're being judged on things that you weren't told about or that you have no control over, okay? So that sort of manufactured uncertainty can be a real hallmark of a toxic situation. And finally, the last red flag I want to talk about, and this one is often overlooked. I think we ignore, like I said earlier in the video, we ignore our gut feelings because often we're looking for like logical markers or whatever. But the next thing and the final thing that I really want you to pay attention to is whether your body's reacting badly. And by like your body reacting badly, I mean, do you feel like sick with anxiety? Is your heart rate up? Are you like sweating? Do you feel cold? Are you shivering? And even stuff like, you know, when you're really stressed, your immune system can be lower. So are you getting sick more often than normal? Some people, when they get stressed, I've had this in the past, they like, their skin gets really bad, or they tend to like have more breakouts. So it's all about getting to know your body and what the kind of markers of stress are for you physically, because a lot of the time we can kind of shrug off our symptoms and be like, you know, it's just anxiety, it's just stress. But hey, anxiety and stress are a real thing, and they can be telling us important things about the situations that we're in. So don't ignore the signals that your body is sending you, because they are there for a reason, and your body's very smart. So if your body is reacting badly, and pay attention as well to how it reacts before, during, and after the situation. Like if you have, you know, a higher heart rate, or you're like shivering in a particular situation, and especially like beforehand, and then after you feel a sense of relief, kind of question why that is, okay? Because that is useful information, and I think we don't pay enough attention to it. Okay, so these are some guidelines as to how to tell when you're in a toxic situation. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to do that, give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye!